The classroom was filled with strange sounds. Clicks, whistles, and bubbles mixed together as students talked before class started. Emma Clark sat near the back, watching her classmates with quiet interest. She had been at the Galactic Academy for 3 months now, and she still found everything fascinating. Professor Kelvin walked into the room. He was tall and looked like a giant insect with 6 legs and compound eyes that sparkled in the light. His shell was dark green and shiny. When he spoke, his mandibles clicked together, and a small device on his chest translated his words into Galactic Common. "Good morning, students," he said. His voice through the translator was pleasant and warm. "Today I have your next assignment. It will be a practical demonstration that combines field work with classroom presentation." The students quieted down. Emma pulled out her datapad to take notes. She had learned quickly that Professor Kelvin's assignments were always interesting, though sometimes challenging for someone from a newly discovered world. "Each of you will bring a predator species from your homeworld," the professor continued. "You will present it to the class, explain its hunting strategies, and demonstrate its natural behaviors in a safe environment. This will help us all understand the diversity of predation across the galaxy." Around the room, students began talking excitedly. Emma listened as her classmates discussed their options. The 2 Centaurian students, who looked like blue-skinned humanoids with 3 eyes, were debating between 2 different species of pursuit hunters from their planes. The Meridians, who needed water tanks to survive in the classroom, bubbled enthusiastically about their electric fish that could stun prey with biological shocks. Even the Tellurians seemed excited. They were peaceful plant-eaters from a world with no large predators, but they had small tree-dwelling creatures with mild venom that could paralyze insects. Their representative, a fuzzy being named Pollen, was already pulling up images on her datapad. "Miss Clark," Professor Kelvin's many eyes focused on her. The attention of the whole class followed. Emma had gotten used to being stared at. Humans were new to the galactic community, and most species had never seen one before. "Does Earth have suitable predators for this assignment?" Emma smiled. It was a human expression that showed teeth, and she noticed a few students near her shift uncomfortably in their seats. She had learned that showing teeth meant aggression or threat to many species, but it was hard to stop a natural human reaction. "Yes, Professor," she said. "Earth has many predators. I will bring something appropriate for the class." "Excellent." Professor Kelvin clicked his mandibles in approval. "I look forward to learning about Earth's ecosystem. Remember, everyone, your presentations are in 2 weeks. Make your transport arrangements soon." As the class ended and students filed out, Emma stayed in her seat thinking. She pulled up her personal datapad and opened the Earth biology database she had brought with her. The list of predators was long, very long. She scrolled through entries, each one making her realize something important. Her classmates had no idea what Earth was really like. The galaxy's information about humanity's homeworld was limited to basic facts. Earth was a Class M planet with oxygen atmosphere, water, and diverse life. But the details, the real truth about what kind of world had produced humanity, that information hadn't spread yet. Earth wasn't just another garden world. It was what xenobiologists would classify as a death world, though Emma didn't know that term yet. It was a place where evolution had been pushed to extremes, where predator and prey had competed in an endless arms race for hundreds of millions of years. It was a world where even the herbivores could be deadly, where the oceans held monsters, and where the land teemed with creatures designed by nature to kill. Emma thought about the assignment carefully. She could bring something small and safe, something that wouldn't scare anyone. But this was an opportunity. This was her chance to show the galaxy what Earth really was, to explain where humans came from and what had shaped them. She began making a list. Not just one predator, but 3. 3 different examples that would show the range and intensity of Earth's predatory life. Her fingers moved across the datapad as she filled out the transport request forms. When she finished, Emma sat back and smiled again. In 2 weeks, the Galactic Academy was going to learn something new about humans. They were going to learn about the world that had forged humanity into what they were, and they were going to understand why humans looked at the stars with such confidence. Because if you could survive on Earth, if you could thrive on a world filled with apex predators and deadly creatures, then the rest of the galaxy seemed a lot less frightening. Humans had grown up surrounded by danger. They had learned to live alongside creatures that could kill them easily, and more than that, they had learned to understand those creatures, to respect them, and in some cases to befriend them. Emma gathered her things and left the classroom. She had arrangements to make and preparations to complete. The transport of 3 large predators from Earth to Station Prime would require paperwork, safety briefings, and careful planning. But it would be worth it. As she walked through the corridors of the academy, passing students from dozens of different species, Emma thought about home. She thought about the forests where wolves howled at night, the jungles where tigers stalked through shadows, and the neighborhoods where dogs played with human children. She thought about a world where danger and beauty existed side by side, where respect for nature's power was taught from childhood. In 2 weeks, her classmates would meet creatures from that world. They would see what Earth had created through millions of years of evolution, and maybe, just maybe, they would begin to understand what it meant to be human. The assignment was simple: bring a predator from your homeworld. But for Emma, it was so much more. It was a chance to tell Earth's story, to share the truth about humanity's origins, and to show the galaxy that the newcomers from that little blue planet in an unremarkable star system were shaped by forces that most civilized worlds couldn't imagine. She reached her quarters and began making calls. There was much to do and only 2 weeks to do it. But Emma was excited. This presentation was going to be something the Galactic Academy would never forget. This was going to be the day the galaxy started to truly understand humanity and the extraordinary world that had created them. The assignment had been given. Now it was time to show them what Earth really meant. Emma stood in front of the transport office desk, her datapad extended toward the clerk. Quelvin was his name, and he was unlike any being Emma had seen before. His body was translucent like gel, and she could see organs floating inside him. Colors shifted across his form as he processed emotions, currently a calm blue-green. "Let me review your transport request," Quelvin said. His voice came from somewhere inside his gelatinous body, resonating in a way that was strange but not unpleasant. He took her datapad and began scrolling through the information. Emma watched as his color changed, first to yellow, then to orange, and finally to a bright, alarmed red. "Miss Clark," he said slowly, "there appears to be an error in your request. You have listed 3 separate creatures for transport. The assignment requires only 1 predator specimen." "There's no error," Emma replied cheerfully. "I'm bringing 3 to give a complete picture of Earth's predatory diversity. The professor said to bring a predator. I'm bringing 3 different types." Quelvin's form rippled with concern. His color stayed at worried orange. "But Miss Clark, the mass readings on these creatures are unusual. The largest weighs over 200 kilograms. That's heavier than most students in your class. And these behavioral notes—" He paused, reading something on the data pad that made his form solidify slightly. "It says here that all 3 are classified as apex predators. Are you certain these safety ratings are correct?" "Completely certain," Emma assured him. "I've worked with all 3 species before. They're well-trained and safe when handled properly. I have all the required certifications and experience documentation attached to the request." Quelvin scrolled further, his color fluctuating between orange and red. "Miss Clark, these creatures have teeth that can bite through bone, claws that can tear through armor, hunting instincts that rate 9 out of 10 on the predatory drive scale. I'm seeing notes about pack hunting, ambush tactics, and pursuit strategies that would make military strategists proud." Emma nodded patiently. "Yes, that's all accurate. Earth's predators are quite effective, but they're also controllable by humans who understand them. I promise everything will be safe." The clerk looked at her for a long moment. His colors shifted in patterns Emma was beginning to recognize as deep thought mixed with doubt. Finally, he sighed. A strange sound coming from a being without lungs. "The paperwork is technically in order," he admitted. "You have the proper permits, the medical clearances, and the training certifications. I'm required to approve this." He made several gestures over his console. "However, I'm also required to flag this for station security. Anytime a predator over 50 kilograms is brought aboard, security must be notified." "That's fine," Emma said. "I expected that." What she didn't expect was how quickly the news would spread. By the time Emma returned to her quarters that evening, messages were waiting for her. First from station security, requesting a meeting to discuss safety protocols. Then from Professor Kelvin, asking for a preliminary briefing on her specimens. And finally from several classmates asking if the rumors were true. Her roommate, Chirik, was perched on her sleeping platform when Emma entered. Chirik was an avian species covered in soft feathers that changed from blue to purple depending on the light. She had large, intelligent eyes and delicate limbs that ended in precise manipulators. "Emma!" Chirrut chirped, her translator rendering the sounds into Galactic Common. Everyone is talking about your presentation. They're saying you need 3 security teams just to transport your predators. They're saying you requested reinforced containment units. Some students are claiming your creatures can breathe fire. Emma laughed and sat down on her own sleeping platform. No fire breathing, I promise. But yes, I'm bringing 3 predators, and yes, they're large. Earth produces some impressive hunters. Chirrut fluttered her feathers nervously. How impressive? You'll see in 2 weeks, Emma said. She noticed something moving near her feet and smiled. A small creature emerged from under her bed, stretched, and jumped up onto her lap. It was furry, about the size of Chirrut, with retractable claws and sharp teeth hidden behind a cute face. The creature began to purr as Emma scratched behind its ears. Chirrut watched with wide eyes. This was Emma's pet, a creature she called a cat. Emma had explained that cats were common on Earth, that humans kept them in their homes. But Chirrut had watched this small predator hunt. She had seen it leave dead prey at Emma's door as gifts. She had witnessed its lightning-fast reflexes and killing instincts. If this small terror was considered a minor predator on Earth, a pet suitable for children, what kind of monsters was Emma bringing for her presentation? Emma, Chirrut said carefully, what exactly are you bringing? Emma smiled that human smile again, the one that showed teeth. Representatives of Earth's major predatory strategies. You'll learn a lot, I promise. So will everyone else. The next day, Emma attended her meeting with station security. The security chief was a Vraxian like Professor Kelvin, but larger and covered in battle scars. His name was Commander Zaxik, and he was not happy. Miss Clark, he clicked, his mandibles moving in agitated patterns. I've reviewed your transport request. I've also reviewed Earth's preliminary biological survey. I have concerns. I understand, Commander, Emma said. But I assure you, everything will be controlled. These animals are trained. They respond to my commands. There's no danger to the station or other students. You're bringing creatures that evolved to kill, Zaxik said bluntly. Creatures with hunting instincts refined over millions of years. Creatures that view most species as prey. That's true of many predators, Emma pointed out. The Centaurians are bringing their pursuit hunters. The Meridians are bringing electric predators. Even the Tellurians have venomous creatures. Those predators evolved on worlds with normal evolutionary pressures, Zaxik countered. I've been reading about Earth since your transport request was filed. Your world has extreme gravity, high oxygen content, and intense competition for resources. It's produced life forms that are more aggressive, more durable, and more dangerous than standard classification models predict. Emma felt a surge of pride mixed with understanding. Finally, someone was beginning to grasp what Earth really was. Commander, she said seriously, I won't bring anything I can't control. I've grown up around these creatures. Humans have lived alongside Earth's predators for our entire existence. We understand them. We respect them. And we know how to handle them safely. Zaxik studied her for a long moment. I'm assigning a security team to your presentation. They'll be armed with tranquilizer equipment and emergency containment fields. If anything goes wrong, if any of your creatures show signs of aggression, we'll intervene immediately. That's acceptable, Emma agreed, though I don't think you'll need to intervene. The commander clicked in a way that Emma had learned meant skepticism. We'll see, Miss Clark. We'll see. As Emma left the security office, she realized that her simple class presentation had become something much bigger. Word was spreading through the station. The human was bringing dangerous predators. The security chief was concerned. Reinforced barriers were being installed in the demonstration hall. By the end of the week, nearly every student at the academy had heard about Emma's presentation. Some were excited, eager to see creatures from the mysterious death world. Others were nervous, wondering if they should even attend. A few had already decided to watch from remote feeds rather than risk being in the same room as Earth's apex predators. Professor Kelvin called Emma to his office. Miss Clark, he said, his translator carrying a tone of concern. Perhaps we should discuss your presentation in detail. I'm receiving questions from the administration, concerns from security, and worried messages from students' parents across 3 sectors. Emma sat down across from him. Professor, I promise this will be educational and safe. But I won't lie to you. Earth's predators are unlike what most species are familiar with. They're the product of intense evolutionary pressure, but that's exactly why they're perfect for this assignment. They'll teach everyone something important about predation, adaptation, and survival. The professor's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Very well. I trust your judgment. But Emma, I hope you understand what you're doing. This presentation may change how the galaxy views humanity. Emma nodded slowly. I know, Professor. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. In her quarters that night, Emma finalized her presentation notes while her cat purred beside her. In less than a week, 3 ships would arrive carrying her specimens. In less than a week, the Galactic Academy would meet the creatures that had shared Earth with humanity for millennia, and the galaxy would begin to understand what it meant to come from a world where danger and beauty walk side by side, where the deadliest predators could become humanity's closest companions. The day of the presentation arrived with unusual tension in the air. Emma woke early, her mind racing through final preparations. Her specimens had arrived the night before and were secured in holding facilities near the demonstration hall. She had spent hours with them, making sure they were comfortable after their journey and responsive to her commands. The demonstration hall had been transformed. What was normally an intimate classroom space had been expanded and reinforced. Transparent barriers made of the strongest materials available now surrounded the central demonstration floor. Additional seating had been installed in raised tiers, giving all students a clear view while maintaining safe distance. Most notably, Emma counted 6 security officers positioned around the room, each carrying equipment she didn't recognize but assumed was for emergency containment. Students began filing in long before the scheduled start time. Emma watched from a preparation room as the seats filled quickly. Many students chose spots in the higher rows, as far from the demonstration floor as possible. But she also noticed that the front rows were full of the brave and curious, students who wanted a close look at Earth's predators. Her classmates whispered to each other, and Emma could hear fragments of conversation through the room's audio system. Speculation had run wild over the past week. Some students had researched Earth and found limited information about apex predators. Others had created elaborate theories based on rumors and incomplete data. Chirrut arrived and took a seat in the middle rows, a compromise between curiosity and caution. She caught Emma's eye and gave a supportive wave with her wing. Emma smiled and waved back. Professor Kelvin entered precisely on time, his shell polished to a high shine for the occasion. He clicked his mandibles for attention and the room fell silent immediately. Students, he began. Today we continue our survey of galactic predators. As you know, we will be hearing from Miss Emma Clark, our human student, who will present specimens from Earth. He paused, his many eyes scanning the room. I must remind everyone to remain calm and seated at all times. Security protocols are in place for your safety. Please give Miss Clark your full attention and respect. He gestured toward Emma, who stepped out of the preparation room and onto the demonstration floor. She wore simple field clothing in earth tones, practical and comfortable. Her dark hair was pulled back and she moved with easy confidence. Thank you, Professor, Emma said, her voice clear and steady. Before I introduce you to my companions, I need to give you context about Earth. My homeworld is what we call a high-gravity planet with high oxygen levels. This combination creates an environment where life is extremely competitive. Evolution on Earth has been fast and intense, producing creatures that are stronger, faster, and more aggressive than similar species on many other worlds. She paused, making sure everyone was listening. The room was completely silent except for the quiet hum of environmental systems. Earth's predators have spent hundreds of millions of years competing with each other and with prey species that evolved increasingly sophisticated defenses. This created specialists, creatures designed by nature to excel at killing. What I'm going to show you today are 3 different predatory strategies that evolved on my homeworld. Emma walked to the first of 3 large containers positioned at the edge of the demonstration floor. Her hand rested on the control panel. The first strategy is persistence hunting, also known as pursuit predation. These hunters don't rely on speed or strength alone. They rely on endurance, intelligence, and cooperation. She pressed the release button. The container opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a shape emerged from the shadowed interior, and the room collectively gasped. The wolf was enormous, standing nearly a meter tall at the shoulder. Her thick coat was gray and black, rippling over powerful muscles as she moved. Her paws were the size of plates, equipped with claws that clicked softly on the demonstration floor. But most striking were her eyes, amber-colored and filled with keen intelligence as they swept across the room, evaluating everything. Several students in the front rows pushed back in their seats. One Meridian's water tank began bubbling with agitation. A Tellurian made a high-pitched sound of distress. "Everyone, please remain calm," Emma said, her voice soothing. "This is Dakota. She's a gray wolf, one of the apex predators from Earth's northern forests." Emma's hand came to rest on Dakota's head between her ears. The wolf sat immediately, her attention fixed on Emma. "Wolves hunt in packs," Emma continued, scratching Dakota's ears casually. "A pack can have up to 15 members, all working together with sophisticated communication and strategy. They can pursue prey for hours, covering distances of 60 kilometers or more in a single hunt. Their stamina is incredible. While they're not the fastest hunters, they simply don't stop. They wear down their prey through relentless pursuit." Emma walked in a small circle, and Dakota followed at her heel with perfect obedience. A wolf's bite force exceeds 300 kilograms per square centimeter. They can take down prey many times their own size through pack coordination. Their sense of smell is 100 times stronger than mine, and they can hear sounds from kilometers away. She stopped and faced the class. Dakota sat again, her tail sweeping slowly across the floor. "But what makes wolves truly special is their social intelligence. They form complex family groups with hierarchies, cooperation, and even altruistic behavior. They care for injured pack members. They teach their young. They communicate with a sophisticated system of howls, body language, and scent marking." Professor Kelvin leaned forward in his observation seat. His mandibles clicked in fascination. "Miss Clark, how is it that such a powerful predator sits calmly at your command?" Emma smiled. "That's part of what makes Earth special, Professor. But let me show you another hunting strategy first." She walked to the second container, and the room's tension increased noticeably. "The second major strategy is ambush predation," Emma said, her hand on the release panel. "These hunters don't chase their prey. They wait, perfectly camouflaged and silent until the right moment. Then they strike with overwhelming force and speed." She opened the container. What emerged made the previous gasp seem quiet. The tiger moved like liquid muscle, each step silent despite its massive size. Orange and black stripes rippled across a body built for explosive power. The big cat was easily 3 meters from nose to tail, and its shoulder came up to Emma's chest. Yellow-green eyes surveyed the room with predatory focus. This time, several students stood up as if to leave. Commander Zaksik and his security team shifted their positions, hands moving to their equipment. Even Professor Kelvin had gone very still. "Please, everyone stay calm," Emma said again. "This is Khan. He's a Bengal tiger, one of the largest and most powerful predators from Earth's jungles." Khan walked a slow circle around Emma, his tail swishing gently. When she held up her hand, he sat, his massive form still radiating power even at rest. "Tigers are solitary hunters," Emma explained. "Unlike wolves who rely on pack cooperation, a tiger works alone. They use stealth and patience, stalking prey until they can attack from close range. A tiger can leap 10 meters horizontally. They can climb trees despite weighing up to 300 kilograms. Their bite force is nearly double that of a wolf." She ran her hand along Khan's striped flank, and the big cat made a low, rumbling sound that vibrated through the demonstration floor. Several students flinched at the sound. "That's purring," Emma explained. "It's a sign of contentment. Tigers can see 6 times better than humans in low light. They hunt at dawn and dusk when most prey species have poor vision. A tiger's attack is usually over in seconds. By the time the prey realizes the danger, it's already too late." Emma stood beside Khan, her hand resting on his massive head. The tiger was clearly relaxed, but his size and obvious power had the entire room on edge. This was a creature built to kill, refined by evolution into a perfect ambush predator. "Now," Emma said, her voice cutting through the heavy silence, "I know what you're thinking. These are extreme examples. Surely these are the most dangerous predators Earth has to offer." She smiled, and this time her expression held a hint of something that made even Professor Kelvin feel uneasy. "But here's what I need you to understand. These are not Earth's apex predators." She walked to the third container as confused murmurs rippled through the audience. What could possibly be more dangerous than what they had already seen? What kind of monster did Earth produce that made a 300-kilogram ambush predator seem tame by comparison? Emma opened the third container, and what emerged was not the horror the audience had been bracing for. The third container opened, and out bounded a creature that made several students blink in confusion. It was smaller than the wolf, much smaller than the tiger, It had floppy ears, a wagging tail, and what humans would recognize instantly as a happy expression. The dog trotted out with enthusiasm, tongue hanging from its mouth, looking around the room with friendly curiosity. The collective tension in the room eased slightly. This creature didn't radiate danger like the others. It looked almost harmless, even playful. Some students in the back rows leaned forward, confused about why Emma had built up such anticipation. "This is Cooper," Emma said, and immediately the dog's attention snapped to her. He bounded over and sat at her feet, looking up at her with devoted eyes. His tail swept back and forth across the floor in wide, happy arcs. "Cooper is a domestic dog," Emma continued. "He's descended from wolves, though you'd be forgiven for not seeing the resemblance. Humans have been breeding dogs for thousands of years, creating hundreds of different varieties for different purposes." Chirrut called out from her seat, her translator carrying her confused chirp clearly. "Emma, I don't understand. If this creature is descended from the wolf and you said these are not Earth's apex predators, then what is?" Emma's smile grew wider. "That's exactly the right question, Chirrut. Thank you." She crouched down and immediately all three animals moved closer to her. Dakota stood at her right. Khan settled to her left and Cooper sat directly in front of her, still wagging his tail. "Let me tell you about Earth's true apex predator," Emma said, standing slowly while the three creatures remained close, responding to subtle movements and signals that the audience couldn't detect. "Earth's apex predator isn't the strongest or the fastest. It's not the one with the sharpest teeth or the most powerful bite. It's not even a specialist at all." She gestured to Dakota. "Wolves are incredible persistence hunters. They can run for hours, coordinate complex pack strategies, and take down prey much larger than themselves." Her hand moved to Khan. "Tigers are perhaps the most perfect ambush predators nature ever designed. Silent, powerful, patient, and devastating when they strike." Then she touched Cooper's head and the dog's tail wagged even harder. "But neither of them is Earth's apex predator. Because Earth's true apex predator did something that no other species in my world's history ever accomplished. It didn't just survive alongside these hunters. It befriended them." The murmuring in the room grew louder. Professor Kelvin's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Miss Clark, are you suggesting that humans are the apex predators of Earth?" "I'm not suggesting it, Professor. I'm stating it as fact." Emma stood, and the animals arranged themselves around her in a protective formation that looked almost rehearsed. "Humans are persistence hunters just like wolves. We evolved to run prey to exhaustion under the hot sun. Our ancestors would track wounded animals for days, following blood trails and signs that other predators missed. We didn't have sharp claws or big teeth. We had endurance, intelligence, and the ability to work together." She began to walk slowly around the demonstration floor, and all three animals moved with her, maintaining their formation. 30,000 years ago, early humans encountered early wolves. We were competing for the same prey. We used similar hunting strategies. And somewhere in that competition, something remarkable happened. We formed an alliance. Emma stopped walking and gestured to Dakota. "Humans didn't just live alongside wolves. We partnered with them. We learned from them and they learned from us. Together, we became the most successful hunters on Earth. A human wolf pack could track prey that neither species could catch alone. We could coordinate strategies that multiplied our effectiveness." She knelt again, and Cooper immediately came to her, followed by Dakota. The wolf and the dog sat side by side, one wild and powerful, the other domesticated and friendly. "Over thousands of years, we bred wolves into dogs. We created specialists for hunting, guarding, herding, and companionship. Every human child on Earth grows up surrounded by the descendants of apex predators. We keep them in our homes. We sleep beside them. We trust them with our infants." Khan approached and rubbed his massive head against Emma's shoulder, making that deep, rumbling purr again. Several students flinched, but Emma just scratched behind the tiger's ears casually, as if the 300-kilogram predator was no more dangerous than a pet. "We didn't stop with wolves," Emma continued. "Humans studied every predator we encountered. We learned from ambush hunters like Khan, incorporating their strategies into our own hunting methods. We learned patience, silence, and the importance of choosing the right moment to strike. We learned from pursuit predators about endurance and persistence. We learned from pack hunters about cooperation and communication." She stood again, her hand still resting on Khan's head. "But more than that, we learned to coexist. On Earth, Humans live in the same territories as tigers, lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks, and dozens of other predators that could kill us easily. And we manage it. We study their behavior, respect their space, and develop strategies for peaceful coexistence. Commander Zaxik spoke up from his position. But surely there are predators on Earth that humans cannot control or befriend. What about those creatures? Of course, Emma nodded. Earth has many predators that are dangerous to humans. Great white sharks that patrol our oceans, hunting with senses we can barely understand. Saltwater crocodiles that have existed unchanged for millions of years. Perfect killing machines. Polar bears that can smell prey from 30 kilometers away. We respect these creatures immensely, and when necessary, we avoid them. She paused, her expression becoming more serious. But here's what you need to understand. When humans encounter something that can kill us, we don't just hide. We study it. We learn its patterns, understand its behavior, and develop strategies. If we need to enter territory controlled by dangerous predators, we find ways to do it safely. If a predator becomes a threat to human communities, we relocate it, or, as a last resort, we hunt it. The implications of her words settled over the audience like a heavy blanket. Emma was describing a species that didn't accept its place in the food chain. A species that observed apex predators and decided to learn from them, befriend them, or overcome them. Professor Kelvin rose from his seat and approached the demonstration floor carefully. The security barriers were still between him and the animals, but his curiosity had overcome his caution. Miss Clark, I need to revise my understanding of human classification. You're describing a species that operates outside normal predator-prey dynamics. That's exactly right, Professor, Emma agreed. Humans are tool users, problem solvers, and social cooperators. We're not the strongest species on Earth, not by far, but we're the most adaptable. We learned that survival isn't about being the biggest or having the sharpest teeth. It's about being smart enough to change strategies, form alliances, and never give up. She made a subtle gesture, and all three animals responded. Dakota howled, a long, haunting sound that made every student's instincts scream danger. Khan roared, a deep, powerful sound that vibrated through the floor and the security barriers. And Cooper barked happily, tail still wagging, his friendly demeanor unchanged despite being flanked by two apex predators. This is what Earth teaches, Emma said over the fading echoes. This is what shaped humanity. We learned to communicate with wolves and formed partnerships that lasted millennia. We learned to respect tigers and understand that some territories belong to other hunters. We learned that the deadliest predators could become our closest companions if treated with respect and understanding. She walked to the center of the floor, the animals following her. Every species here today brought a predator from their homeworld. But I brought something more. I brought proof that humans don't just survive alongside apex predators. We master them through understanding, respect, and cooperation. A student near the back, a crystalline being named Shardik, raised a manipulator. But the strength of these creatures, their hunting ability, how does humanity overcome that without similar physical advantages? Emma smiled. We don't overcome it, Shardik. We work with it. Yes, Dakota could kill me in seconds if she chose to. Yes, Khan could end my life with one swipe of his paw. But they don't because I understand them. I know what they need, what they fear, how they communicate. I've studied their behavior, earned their trust, and formed relationships built on mutual respect. She demonstrated by giving each animal a different command. Dakota responded with perfect obedience, moving through a series of positions. Khan followed her movements with his eyes, responding to gestures too subtle for most observers to notice. Cooper performed tricks, showing the playful intelligence that made dogs humanity's closest companions. This is Earth's gift to humanity, Emma concluded. My homeworld didn't just create strong predators. It created a species capable of understanding those predators, learning from them, and when necessary, standing against them. We're not apex predators because we're the strongest. We're apex predators because we're the smartest, the most adaptable, and the most willing to cooperate. The demonstration hall was silent as the weight of her words sank in. The galaxy had made first contact with humanity expecting another standard species. Perhaps prey-type Professor Kelvin approached the security barrier slowly, his compound eyes reflecting the demonstration floor lights as he studied the three animals and the human who commanded them. His mandibles clicked in patterns that his students had learned to recognize as deep thought, mixed with fascination. Miss Clark, he said carefully, may I ask you to demonstrate something? Can you show us how you communicate with these creatures? The subtlety of your commands is remarkable. Most of us cannot see the signals you're using. Emma nodded. Of course, Professor. Let me show you with Dakota first. She turned to face the wolf, who immediately focused all her attention on Emma. Wolves communicate through a complex system of body language, vocalizations, and even scent. Watch carefully. She raised her right hand slowly, palm facing up, and Dakota stood. A subtle shift of Emma's shoulders forward, and the wolf began to walk. When Emma's hand dropped, Dakota stopped. A slight tilt of Emma's head, and Dakota sat again. These are human commands adapted to wolf communication patterns, Emma explained. Wolves naturally watch the alpha of their pack for direction. They read body language constantly. When humans partnered with wolves thousands of years ago, we learned their language and they learned ours. She demonstrated several more commands, each one highlighting the sophisticated communication between human and wolf. The audience watched in silent amazement. This wasn't domination through force. This was cooperation based on mutual understanding. Now with Khan, it's different, Emma said, turning to the tiger. Tigers are solitary hunters. They don't have pack dynamics like wolves. Communication with Khan is about respect for boundaries and understanding his moods. She approached the big cat calmly, and Khan watched her with those intense yellow-green eyes. Emma extended her hand slowly, and Khan sniffed it before rubbing his face against her palm. The rumbling purr filled the demonstration hall again. Tigers use scent marking and vocalizations to communicate, Emma explained. They're more independent than wolves. My relationship with Khan is built on trust developed over years. He knows I won't hurt him, and I know how to read his signals. See how his ears are forward and relaxed? That means he's comfortable. If they went back or flattened, I'd know to give him space. She scratched under Khan's chin, and the massive predator closed his eyes in contentment. The key with any of Earth's predators is understanding that they're not mindless killing machines. They're intelligent beings with needs, moods, and preferences. Humans succeeded on Earth because we learned this truth early. Cooper barked, wanting attention, and Emma laughed. And Cooper represents something special. Dogs have been humanity's partners for so long that they've evolved to understand us in ways that even wolves don't. Dogs can read human facial expressions, follow our pointing gestures, and even sense our emotions. She knelt down, and Cooper immediately came to her, followed by Dakota. The wolf and the dog sat side by side again, and Emma put an arm around each. Look at them together. One is still essentially wild, shaped by millions of years of natural selection. The other has been shaped by thousands of years of partnership with humans. But both are predators. Both have the instincts and abilities to hunt and kill, and both trust me completely. Professor Kelvin's mandibles clicked rapidly. This changes our understanding of humanity significantly. The classification we've been using for your species is inadequate. What classification have you been using? Emma asked, curious. We listed humans as Class 3 omnivores with limited predatory behavior, the professor admitted. Similar to Tellurians, but with greater adaptability. Clearly this was an error based on incomplete data. Emma smiled. Professor, humans are complex. We're omnivores, yes, but our predatory heritage runs deep. We have eyes that face forward like all hunters. We have persistence and endurance that few species can match. We have the ability to throw objects with deadly accuracy, a skill that our ancestors used to hunt from a distance. And most importantly, we have intelligence that allows us to adapt to any situation. She stood and the animals rose with her. But we're also social, emotional, and capable of empathy. We bond with other species. We care for animals that serve no practical purpose simply because we enjoy their company. This cat I keep in my quarters, the one that Chirik finds frightening. Humans have kept cats as companions for thousands of years. They served a purpose once, controlling pests, but now we keep them because we love them. Chirik chirped from her seat. Emma, I need to apologize. I've been afraid of your cat. But watching you with these much larger predators, I think I understand now. Your cat isn't dangerous to you because you understand it. Exactly, Emma agreed. And that understanding extends to how humans interact with all of Earth's life. We don't fear predators. We respect them. We don't avoid danger. We learn to navigate it. This is what growing up on Earth teaches every human child. Commander Zaksik spoke up from his position. Miss Clark, I must revise my security assessment. You mentioned that humans hunt predators when necessary. Can you elaborate on that? Emma's expression became more serious. Yes, Commander. When a predator becomes a threat to human communities, we don't ignore it. We study the situation, try to find non-lethal solutions like relocation, but if necessary, humans will hunt even the most dangerous predators. We've developed tools and strategies that allow us to confront any threat. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Earth has taught humanity a critical lesson: adapt or die. Every species on my homeworld learned this. The prey species developed better defenses, faster speeds, sharper senses. The predators developed better hunting strategies, stronger bites, more sophisticated coordination. And humans developed the ability to learn from all of them. A student near the front, a gelatinous being similar to Quelvin, raised a question. But humans are physically weak compared to these predators. How did you survive long enough to develop these strategies? Tool use, Emma answered immediately. Early humans made spears, developed fire, created traps. We didn't need to be stronger than a lion or faster than a wolf. We needed to be smarter. A human with a spear and knowledge of animal behavior could hunt creatures that were individually much more powerful. She walked around the demonstration floor again, the animals following in formation. But more than that, humans learned to work together. A single human might fail, but a group of humans coordinating their efforts could overcome any challenge. We shared knowledge, taught our young, and built on the discoveries of previous generations. Professor Kelvin was making rapid notes on his datapad. This explains several mysteries about human behavior we've observed. Your species' tendency to form quick alliances with other species, your adaptability to new environments, your persistence in solving problems. These aren't random traits. They're survival strategies developed on a world that demanded excellence. That's right, Professor, Emma confirmed. Every human carries the legacy of Earth's evolutionary crucible. We're the descendants of survivors who faced impossible odds and found ways to overcome them, not through strength alone, but through intelligence, cooperation, and an unwillingness to accept defeat. She made a gesture, and all three animals moved to her, forming a close group. This is what I wanted to show the class today. Not just Earth's predators, but humanity's relationship with them. We don't dominate through force. We succeed through understanding. We turned wolves into partners, learned from tigers, and created companions from wild hunters. Khan rubbed against Emma's side, nearly knocking her over with his affectionate gesture. She laughed and steadied herself against his bulk. Even the most powerful predator can be understood, respected, and in some cases befriended. That's humanity's real strength. Not that we can fight these creatures, but that we rarely need to because we've learned to coexist with them. The demonstration hall erupted in questions. Students wanted to know more about Earth, about other predators, about how humans had developed their strategies. Emma answered patiently, with Dakota sitting beside her, Khan lounging nearby, and Cooper happily accepting attention from brave students who approached the security barrier. As the session finally wound down and students began to leave, Emma noticed they looked at her differently now. There was respect in their eyes, but also a new wariness. They understood that humans were not just another species joining the galactic community. Humans were survivors from a world that had forged them in competition with nature's finest killers. Professor Kelvin approached after the last student had left. Only security remained, watching as Emma prepared to return the animals to their holding facilities. Miss Clark, the professor said quietly. This was perhaps the most educational presentation I've witnessed in 30 years of teaching. You've given us all much to think about. Thank you, Professor, Emma replied. I hope it helps the galaxy understand humanity better. It does, he assured her. Though I suspect it also raises new questions. If humans can master Earth's apex predators, what else are you capable of? What role will humanity play in galactic affairs? Emma smiled as she guided Dakota back toward the first container. I guess we'll all find out together, Professor.